Well, thanks for joining us today on The Breakdown. Today is Wednesday, June 3rd, 2026. I'm Brittany Noble, and here's what's coming up on The Breakdown. The Supreme Court has sided with Alabama Republicans, and now a contested congressional map will be used in upcoming elections. We'll discuss the impact on Black voters ahead. Plus, there are renewed calls for South Carolina to finally pass a hate crimes law. Coming up, why one of only two states without such a law is facing growing pressure for change. And reporter Aliyah Wright of Capital B will join us to explain today. Plus, a Black entrepreneur is helping travelers see the world through culture, connection, and community. Derek Glaspie of Black Queer Travel joins us to discuss his upcoming Chinese immersion trip and the power of transformative travel. The breakdown starts now. Start with a breakdown of the headlines and the stories that you need to know about from across Black America. The Supreme Court will allow Alabama to use a GOP-friendly election map. The High Court has cleared the way for Alabama Republicans to use a contested 2023 congressional map that a lower court rejected last week. The lower court said that the map violates the Voting Rights Act and the Constitution, calling it intentional race-based discrimination. The move is a significant win for the GOP, allowing the state to eliminate one of two majority Black districts occupied by Democrats, even as election experts and state administrators have warned of major confusion for voters with the late change. Civil rights groups lamented the decision as a stark example of the impact of the court's historic April decision in Louisiana versus Calise, which rolled back long-standing voting rights protections for minority voters. Alabama Republican Governor Kay Ivey praised the decision, and her office confirmed that the state would hold a special primary using the new maps with redrawn districts on August 11th. Tonight on Roland Martin Unfiltered, Roland will talk to the two plaintiffs who sued the state of Alabama about the Supreme Court's ruling. And jury selection in the murder trial of Karmelo Anthony continues today at the Collin County Courthouse in McKinney, Texas. On Monday, nearly 200 potential jurors answered questionnaires to be considered for the trial of Karmelo Anthony. He's the Black teen accused of killing 17-year-old Austin Metcalf at a track and field championship on April 2nd, 2025. Investigators say the incident happened in the stadium bleachers. Anthony is claiming self-defense. If a jury is seated today, opening statements are expected to begin on Thursday. Attorney Thelma Anderson will be in the courtroom during the trial and is providing us daily updates right here on the Black Star Network. Well, an Arkansas state trooper resigns after his estranged wife shares 30 screenshot messages depicting him as a white supremacist amid their divorce proceedings. Michael Austin Kennedy has resigned after his wife, Alana Kennedy, issued a 32-page court filing as part of their divorce proceedings that included messages between the couple in which the trooper used racial slurs. At least 3 of the messages are said to include pictures of Arkansas State Police troopers posing with an arrested suspect, along with messages from Michael referring to the suspects as racial slurs. In other messages, the trooper suggested a repeal of the 19th Amendment, which gives women the right to vote, and said Ramadan should be banned in Arkansas. Arkansas State Police have condemned the messages and conducted a review of all of the troopers' traffic stops and citations. And according to them, there was no evidence that the accusations in the court filing reflected his work performance. Well, the Georgia Supreme Court has paved the way for executions to resume by officially overturning a previous ruling that had postponed them due to COVID-19 concerns. In the earlier ruling, execution could not take place until vaccines were widely available to the public. A lower court had determined that this condition was not met because children under 6 months could not receive the vaccine. But the Georgia Supreme Court disagreed, concluding that the availability of vaccines does not require FDA approval for every age group for the condition to be considered satisfied. And the BET network has announced that for the first time since its founding 45 years ago, it will have a board of advisors providing a strategic and cultural sounding board for the network's ongoing evolution. Among those helping steer the network, which is owned by Paramount Skydance, will be BET co-founder Bob Johnson, rapper and actress Queen Latifah, and rapper and actor LL Cool J. According to Paramount Skydance, the 6-member panel is tasked with providing insight, perspective, and accountability as the OWN media company plans its next chapter. And 2-time Grammy Award-winning singer Peabo Bryson has died in Atlanta. He was 75 years old. Bryson's family had previously said that the performer had suffered a stroke and released a statement yesterday announcing that he transitioned peacefully at about 5 p.m. on the evening of Tuesday, June 2nd, around beloved by his family and those closest to him. Bryson is globally celebrated for his Oscar-winning Disney songs Beauty and the Beast with Celine Dion and A Whole New World with Regina Bell. With over 20 albums to his name, he remains a significant figure in R&B and adult contemporary music, known for solo hits such as Can You Stop the Rain and Feel the Fire. All right, coming up next on The Breakdown. Today, we're talking about a case that has reignited the debate over hate crimes legislation in South Carolina. So after the break, Aaliyah Wright of Capital B will join us right here on The Breakdown. And for more news headlines and in-depth coverage 24 hours a day, please visit the Black Star Network. We want to be your source for stories that matter to our community. Stay with us. We'll be right back. You're watching The Breakdown.
With medicine and science under attack, I want to keep you and your family informed and healthy. I'm Dr. Ebony Hilton, and I knew at the age of 8 that I wanted to be a doctor. So I studied hard and became the first African-American female anesthesiologist hired at the Medical University of South Carolina since its opening in 1824. And I always say I was made into a doctor, but I was born to be a mom. And as a new mom, wife, sister, daughter, and friend, I understand how frightening a medical crisis can be. I care for individuals on some of the worst days of their lives, and it's my mission to provide you with a safe space to gain clarity on issues affecting your mind, body, and soul. I recognize that there are health disparities, particularly as it pertains to race, and I want to help bridge the gap between you and your healthcare providers. Join me every Thursday for Second Opinion on the Black Star Network, where each week I'll invite experts from various medical fields to share the latest health news. We'll discuss topics such as the vaccine debate, mental and sexual health, medical bias, infertility, menopause, andropause, nutrition, and aging. Together with my medical colleagues, we aim to provide you with a second opinion. Don't miss it, Thursdays only on the Black Star Network.
They've been trying to erase black political power since Reconstruction. Now the Supreme Court is helping them finish the job. First came Shelby County versus Holder in 2013, the ruling that gutted the Voting Rights Act. Then came Brnovich in 2021, another ruling, another piece torn away. Now comes Calais, the case civil rights leaders warned could cripple the last major federal protection against racial vote dilution. And within days, Tennessee eliminated its only majority black congressional district. Louisiana, South Carolina, Alabama. The same strategy is spreading across the South. The old Jim Crow used poll taxes and literacy tests. The new Jim Crow uses gerrymandered maps, voter roll purges, polling place closures, and court rulings that make black communities politically invisible. 1965 was Freedom Summer. This is Freedom Summer 2.0, because they are still trying to erase black political power, and we will not bow.
Remains one of only 2 states in the nation without a hate crimes law. Now, a high-profile case involving a black military family is renewing calls for lawmakers to act. Federal prosecutors say a white South Carolina man burned a cross facing the home of Sean and Monica Williams after posting online that he wanted to give his black neighbors a good scare. The Williams family has spent years advocating for the Senator Clementa C. Pinckney Hate Crimes Act, legislation named after the pastor and state senator who was among the 9 people murdered by a white supremacist during the 2015 massacre at Mother Emanuel AME Church in Charleston. But despite repeated efforts, the bill has stalled in the South Carolina legislature. Joining us now is Aaliyah Wright, the rule issues reporter for Capital B, to tell us more about this. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me again, Brittany.
Oh, we love having you, Aaliyah. Great reporting as always. So tell us a little bit more about Monica and Sean Williams and how this story first came to your attention.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Monica and Sean Williams, they're married. They served their time in the military, and they had begun to, start planning their retirement. And part of that was buying a new home. And they decided they wanted to buy this home in South Carolina. So after they had purchased the home, they had started to experience harassment and threats from their white neighbor, as you mentioned, Warden E. Butler. That particular harassment escalated in the fall of 2023. So around Thanksgiving, when the Williams had family over, Warden E. Butler decides to take to social media and basically dox them. So he uploaded photos of, their home, their mailbox, their vehicle, and also, as you mentioned, saying that he wanted to give them a good scare with a cross in the lawn. And this is also according to police and court documents. And so, according to police, he decided to go ahead and do that. He burned a cross in his backyard that faced the home of Sean and Monica Williams. And so the police had eventually, charged him with second-degree harassment, which was a state-level case. One would argue that maybe stiffer penalties or charges could have come if South Carolina did, in fact, have a hate crime. But if we fast forward to this year, it's now a federal case, and the U.S. Attorney's Office of South Carolina have returned a 2-count indictment with charges against Butler, which include 1, interfering with housing rights, and 2, using fire to commit a felony. So now he's basically waiting his day in court for a trial to see what happens next.
How significant is it that there is an indictment in this case and that it focuses on housing rights rather than state hate crime?
Yeah, I mean, one would say, like the Williams family, that it's something, right? That it's not being dismissed, or their concerns and their safety has not gone unheard. It could have stopped at that state level case. And let me just talk a little bit about that. So
Please.
the police basically, local reports basically said that the police couldn't charge him with the hate crime because there was no law on the book. So it was technically not illegal to burn a cross in your yard. So they then went to second-degree harassment, and actually Butler pleaded guilty to that charge. The judge in that particular case basically said that he sentenced him with time served. He was in the jail for about 24 hours and then released on bond. And so that was generally it with that particular case. But the local police, in coordination with the FBI, continued to investigate, which brought on these federal charges. And so what's interesting, too, regarding the 2-count indictment, Butler has actually pleaded not guilty to these charges. I would also like to add that his current counsel had filed for a motion for Butler to undergo a psychological evaluation. He's basically saying that Butler is incoherent. He cannot keep up with communications in this case. And interestingly enough, the judge granted that particular request, that he is to be transported by the U.S. Marshal to a facility that can, conduct that type of evaluation. It cannot exceed 30 days. After that particular time period, he then has to be transported back to jail and then, kind of await the sentencing and when the trial begins. So, it's interesting. He pleaded guilty to the second-degree harassment. There were news reports of saying that he didn't mean to hurt or exemplify any hate. And now with this, psychological evaluation now happening and him kind of pleading not guilty, it's just interesting, how that is, I guess, transpiring. With it seemed as if, he was coherent then, but now something has changed.
I mean, it is incredibly interesting. Can you tell us about the Senator Clementa C. Pinckney Hate Crimes Act and what that legislation could do if passed?
Yeah, it's been a difficult road for that particular legislation to pass. As you mentioned, it is in honor of, the former senator who was among 9 that was murdered in that hate crime in Charleston. And so lawmakers have been diligent in terms of introducing this legislation year after year. Usually it gets to the House passes it, but once it gets to the Senate, it then is stalled by Republican lawmakers. And I talked to Senator Tamika Devine, who was one of the co-sponsors of introducing this legislation, which would basically, impose, a certain amount of fines, but also jail time for an individual or group of folks who decide to commit this type of offense. And she basically said there has been some effort, to work with Republican lawmakers, whether it's, kind of introducing a study, right? Creating a commission to study hate crimes, which that amendment was rejected. And so once it gets over to the Senate again, there's been conversations, but that particular legislation has not even been brought up for debate or on the floor. She said she's hopeful that some movement would happen, but it doesn't look like it would happen this legislative session because, the session is over. So maybe there will be some movement, maybe the momentum of this case and the Williams pushing for it, there may be, some momentum in the future. But again, it's been years and nothing has been done.
Wow. In your reporting, you found that according to FBI data, hate crime incidents have increased nationwide?
Yeah, so the most recent FBI data that is available nationwide, there were about 11,679, I want to say, hate crime incidents that were reported. The year before, it was around the same. But if we look back to 2020, there were only about 8,600 or so hate crimes. So we can see that it has increased over the last few years. I spoke to some folks over at the NAACP who talked about, seeing this increase in how the current political climate has kind of, and how it has created, kind of this social division, makes room or makes way for, these type of incidents to continue and go unchecked. And especially as, this administration has also, eliminated funding that could have helped with hate crime prevention and public safety, the sending, some dollars that could have gone to state and local governments to actually attack this, but those are also going, unaddressed because of, the limited resources. And so that is only, part of the challenge that could help solve it a bit. But yeah, it's difficult when, again, you have this sort of hyper political climate that's fixated on targeting Blackness. And also the lack of resources. What can you do? Of course, a lot of that work is left up to local nonprofits, local community groups who band together to try to do the work.
Aaliyah, we love your reporting here on The Breakdown. Tell us how we can keep up with you and continue following your work.
Absolutely. I'll continue to follow this case, of course, but for all things, my reporting, all things Capital B, you can check out capitalbnews.org, our website, newsletter, social media. We're around, so you can find us.
And this particular article that we're talking about, Aaliyah wrote it on May 28th, or published it. It's called Cross-Burning Federal Charges in the State That Still Won't Call It a Hate Crime. Again, that is a capital B report. Aaliyah Wright, we appreciate you as always. And I've been following your reports. There's some other stuff we want to talk about too. So hopefully we'll get you back on The Breakdown very, very soon. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I'd love to be back.
Oh, I love to hear it. Thank you, Aaliyah. See you soon. All right. We appreciate her for joining us. And we still have more ahead on The Breakdown. Stay with us. We are going to take a quick break. And after the break, in case you missed it on Roland Martin Unfiltered, a major change could be coming to Louisiana's court system. We'll show you what lawmakers approved and why many are raising concerns. Stay with us.
Hey y'all, welcome to The Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network and hosted by myself, Rhea Baker, and my good sis, Jamira Burley. We are just two millennial women tackling everything at the intersection of politics, gender, and pop culture.
And we don't just settle for commentary. This is about solution-driven dialogue to get us to the world as it could be and not just as it is.
Watch us on the Black Star Network, so tune in to The Other Side of Change.
Violent white supremacy is, quote, the most persistent and lethal threat in the homeland.
The greatest terrorist threat to the homeland is the homegrown violence stream, including hate crime committed on behalf of some kind of white supremacist ideology.
They are coming after everything in Black America. MAGA and Donald Trump are specifically targeting Black America. They are going after the money. Attack Black Lives Matter. Attack critical race theory, attack woke, DEI. MAGA wants to defund Black America. This is a perfect example of their desire to completely degrade and de-emphasize Black people.
We're asking for your help in finding Wanda Dawson Rogers Campbell. She was last seen in Baltimore City, Maryland, April 19th, 2003, driving a green Pontiac Grand Prix with an Ohio temporary tag D224055. Wanda has a tattoo, a unicorn on the left side of her chest, the letters TT inside her forearm, and a heart on the back hand. She left to meet an acquaintance and never returned. Wanda's car was later located in Baltimore, but if you maybe know anything, please contact Baltimore Police Department. The number is 443-984-7395. On Roland Martin Unfiltered, lawmakers in Louisiana passed Senate Bill 217, which will downsize multiple courts in New Orleans. It's now headed to Governor Jeff Landry's desk to be signed into law. The bill reduces the number of Orleans criminal district court judges from 13 to 9, juvenile court judges from 4 to 2, and municipal and traffic court judges by 2 from 7 to 5.
Republican lawmakers in Louisiana passed Senate Bill 217. Again, this is a part of the GOP war on Black America. This bill will downsize multiple courts in New Orleans. It's now headed to Governor Jeff Landry's desk to be signed into law. The bill reduces the number of Orleans criminal district court judges from 13 to 9, juvenile court judges from 4 to 2, and municipal and traffic court judges from 2 from 7 to 5. The 3 criminal court judges that are set to be eliminated are Honorable Simone Levine, Rhonda Good Douglas, and the recent winner of the unfilled Section J seat, Judge John Fuller. Rhonda Good Douglas joins us right now from New Orleans. Glad to have you here. All right, so normally when we see a reduction like this, it's because we've seen a drop in cases. What's the rationale given?
So the rationale is that the state legislature decided, this legislation comes from a legislator that is not part of the New Orleans delegation. It's someone from Monroe, Louisiana, who decided that the judges in Orleans Parish were not working efficiently, that we did not have enough work to do, and that the court should be streamlined.
And this is a person's opinion. Was it backed up by data, by facts?
No, there's been no. Now, I will say that the court, all of the courts in Louisiana did participate in a work study evaluation, which sort of evaluated us for 5 weeks last year. However, that study was only supposed to be used to determine whether or not new judges should be added. It was not for any such reduction of judges. And I'm not sure if that is what the basis is that they're utilizing. However, that was not what that study was for. It's simply just an attack on the judges in Orleans Parish.
So now with this particular move, and for people who don't know, was New Orleans the only parish targeted? So
Yes.
so they didn't look at any other court system in the whole state, just New Orleans.
Just New Orleans. And as I said before, the legislator that created the legislation is from northern Louisiana. He is an attorney, but I don't believe that he's practiced in any of our courthouses in Orleans Parish in quite some time. And he actually said that during some of the hearings.
Wow, that just absolutely is crazy. And obviously, the city of New Orleans fought this, and the clerk position that went all the way up to the Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court has said, yeah, legislators, they can do whatever they want to. So this is what I'm always reminding people. Again, for all the black folks in Louisiana who set their asses at home in the last election, which allowed for Jeff Landry to get 50+1%. It locked in the Republicans having a supermajority in the legislature, because before they did not have one. And so this is the consequence when the folk don't vote. They then get to do what they want to do. So here are Republicans in Louisiana, MAGA Republicans, singling New Orleans out and penalizing New Orleans. And so for folks who don't vote, well, here you go.
And this is exactly where we are. So, Mr. Martin, what I will tell you about my circumstances, initially we were all under the impression, not that, the court agreed to the reduction in judges, but we were under the impression that it would be the last 3 elected. I learned on Sunday at 7 p.m. via text message from a defense attorney that my seat had come up and was now in the bill. The bill passed, obviously, because as you said, there is a supermajority, and it's now sitting on the governor's desk, waiting to be signed.
And again, for the people who are unaware, when MAGA Governor Jeff Landry was Attorney General, he also wanted the law changed when it came to the unsealing of juvenile records only for Orleans Parish.
Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not clear as on that legislation. I'm not doubting you on that, but I do know that there has been some legislation in regards to the juvenile records. I was not aware that it was just in Orleans Parish. So I'm a judge in Orleans Parish. I don't do juvenile work, but I did know that was some legislation. I did not know that it was just for Orleans Parish. I thought it was, statewide. So that's interesting.
Oh, yeah. And in fact, he championed, well, first of all, what he did was in March 2024, he championed legislation that would make juvenile criminal records public. And because they want to expose violent and criminal records. And so this is what he wanted to do. And then when he called that special session in February of 2024, that's what it was all about. So, listen, when he was Attorney General, we saw exactly what he was trying to do. And in fact, this is a story right here from the Associated Press. The story said youth records in mainly black Louisiana areas may go public. Give me 1 second. I'm going to close this. Let me close this out. And then, as public frustration over Louisiana's violent crime grows, Republican gubernatorial candidate Attorney General Jeff Landry is backing legislation that would make certain confidential juvenile records public in 3 of the state's parishes, all of which are predominantly black. So he was targeting black parishes, and Orleans Parish was one of those. Now, you would think that if you're trying to do something that you would target all, but no, he was only targeting predominantly black parishes.
So, as a judge, I have certain judicial canons that do not allow me to comment on legislation. In fact, that's been sort of the difficulty with what's going on right now. Unfortunately, there's not a lot that I can advocate for myself in terms of how I feel about this legislation. So, I will definitely refrain from comment. I think what you said is what it is on what you just showed
I'm going to show this here. So it's supposed to be a 2-year pilot program, go to my iPad, that would apply to 3 parishes, Cato, East Baton Rouge, and Orleans. All the AP story said, all of which are home to Louisiana's most populous cities, while supporters of the legislation cited that these 3 areas have the largest number of violent crimes in the state. They are also predominantly black. So at the end of the day, the Supreme Court says they can do what they want to do. So all of y'all are out of these jobs. And the only thing that could change is if you have a change in legislature, correct?
So what I will say is that yesterday, the governor was, because I am one of the more tenured judges and have been around for a while, the governor was very frustrated with the fact that I had been added and another seat had been removed. So I'm remaining hopeful and prayerful that the governor will veto this bill. Simply because I don't even know how I got added to the bill. No one could really explain to me why my particular section of court was added. I was elected in 2020. I have 2 specialty courts. I work every day. I come to work. I try cases. I do my job. I don't have a lot of negative newspaper stories. I don't have a lot of negativity. I treat everybody fair, impartial, and I do my best every single day to represent the citizens of Orleans Parish. And so the governor was very upset and angry that I had been added to the bill in this last ditch. I don't know if it was some deal that was cut with other legislators. I really don't know, but no one has been able to explain to me how there were several other judges with less tenure than me that were that they skipped over basically to come to me. So I'm actually 3rd in line. I'll be the deputy chief in 2028. So not sure, should I survive, I guess, this cut. That was the plan. There was a rumor out there, so I want to, dispel all rumors. There was a rumor on the House floor that I was planning on retiring. I am not. And what I will say is that should my seat be eliminated, I will seek re-election in another seat on this bench because I deserve to be here. I've done the work, and there's absolutely no reason why my seat should be eliminated from this court.
All right, Judge Rhonda Good Douglas, we surely appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. I appreciate you taking the time.
All right, folks, I'm going to bring my panel right now. Some other, of course, news of the day. Dr. Mustafa Santiago Ali, former senior advisor for environmental justice at the EPA, joining us out of Washington, D.C. Randy Bryant, DEI disruptor. She joins us as well. She's also entrepreneurial, author, and creator of The Truthing Game. Joining us from D.C., Khalil Thompson, executive director, Women with Black Men.org out of D.C. as well. We say this over and over again, Mustafa, election have consequences, and there's a whole bunch of people who sat at home in Louisiana. You had a black man who was running on the Democratic side for governor, and if he got more votes, then that would have kept Landry from getting 50+1. It would have forced a runoff, but a lot of people chose to sit at home. Not just black people, but I'm specifically talking to black people because our numbers in that election were absolutely horrible. And so the consequences of people not voting is when the legislature comes back and then do whatever the hell they want to because they have a supermajority. So part of this idea when we talk about voting is not always playing offense, it's also playing defense.
Well, Maya Angelou once said that voting is the great equalizer. And when we don't fully understand what that means, then we see the types of behaviors of folks just being apathetic and not engaging in the process and not honoring the power that they have to make sure that the right individuals are being elected. We've talked about for years now on this show about judges and how incredibly important they are in making sure that we have those judges that will interpret the law fairly, will make sure that they understand the dynamics that often go on and also the disparities that are a part of the legal system. So when we don't utilize our power, when we don't show up, then we get these types of actions that are happening from folks who want to erase us. Who want to make sure that we don't have the power. And then, of course, to make sure that in many instances, there are those private prisons that are out there. They want to continue to fill those up. So, we could stop that. We can mitigate some of that by making sure that we show up at the ballot box and then voting for the individuals who we know will have the best interest for our communities.
Randy, I try to explain to people, when you look at the hard right, they wanted to get rid of Roe v. Wade for a very long time. They didn't stop going to the polls. And so the lesson that people need to take from this is you may not get what you want in one cycle or two or three or four or five, but the whole point of keep coming back is you might eventually get what you want.
Right. And we can't let our pedals off the gas, our feet off the gas. We have to keep pushing and pushing. And I know it's frustrating because it feels as if we don't get everything that we want. And it feels as if we're fighting against a tide that we can't fight against. But that is what they want. They want us to be uninvolved. They want us to feel apathetic. They want us to feel defeated. But we're not defeated. And so we just have to keep pushing because we see what happens when we don't.
Well, coming up tonight on Roland Martin Unfiltered, Roland will be in Chicago tonight for a sneak peek of the Obama Presidential Center. He'll also talk to the executive director of a Black farmers organization that is suing the USDA over $127 million in canceled grants. Roland honors the life and legacy of Peebo Bryson tonight with a special tribute to the R&B legend. That's all happening tonight here on the Black Star Network, starting at 6 p.m. Eastern. That's for Roland Martin Unfiltered. Well, after the break, we are talking about global travel and cultural exploration. Derek Lasby will join us to discuss Black queer travel and an exciting Chinese immersion trip happening this November. Stay with us.
They said the quiet part out loud. Black votes are a threat, so they erased them. After the Supreme Court gutted the Voting Rights Act in 2013, Republican legislatures moved fast. New voter ID laws, polling place shutdowns, purges of black voters from the rolls. Trump's Justice Department didn't stop it, they joined in. In 2018, his DOJ backed Ohio's voter purge system, a scheme that disproportionately erased black voters. Their goal, erase black votes and political power. Yeah, that happened. These are the kinds of stories that we cover every day on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Subscribe on YouTube and download the Black Star Network app. Support fact-based independent journalism that centers African Americans and the issues that matter to our community.
If in this country right now, you have people get up in the morning and the only thing they can think about is how many people they can hurt, and they got the power, that's the time for mourning.
For better or worse, what makes America special, it's that legal system that's supposed to protect minorities from the tyranny of the majority.
We are at a point of a moral emergency. We must raise a voice of outrage. We must raise a voice of compassion. And we must raise a voice of unity.
We are not in a crisis of party versus party. We are in a crisis of civilization, a human rights crisis, and a crisis of democracy itself. And guess what? You've been chosen to make sure that those that would destroy, those that would hate, don't have the final say, and they don't ultimately win.
What's happening? This is your man, Motown recording artist Kim. You are watching the Black Star Network.
And welcome back to The Breakdown, and thanks for joining us for the Noble Spotlight. Well, Derek Glasby is the founder of Black Queer Travel, a company dedicated to creating safe, inclusive, and unforgettable travel experiences. He's also planning a luxury business trip to China in November. Here to tell us more about Black Queer Travel is Derek Glasby. Thank you for joining us, Derek.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Absolutely, a traveling Glasby. Tell us how you got into this world of traveling all over.
I'd like to start with saying that when I was about 7 years old, roughly, I took my first trip to Atlanta without my parents. So my mom and my uncle sent me and my cousin Antonio on a plane ride to Atlanta by ourselves. And I had a blast. I had the best time of my life. We ate snacks, and it was just my first plane ride ever as a young man. And from that moment, I was like, okay, I want to see where this goes. How do I explore this a little bit more? And then I went to college in California, transferred over to teaching English in China. I was there for 6 years. I got my master's while I was there, lived in Italy, lived in Budapest. So began to just create a level of travel that I hadn't seen in my family or that I hadn't seen in our community, and was like, I'm just going to go wherever the world takes me.
Now, you actually launched your own company. Tell us a little bit more about Black Queer Travel.
Absolutely. So I started with small events in my house in China, in Chongqing. So I would have like spades nights for Black people, right? So we didn't have this space to come together and have a sense of community. And then I began to realize, like, I would go and travel places, but I didn't see any place that was designed or focused around Black queerness. And it was more so like typically white areas or events and things of that nature that kind of focused their attention or travel ads towards them. And I was like, I don't see anyone that looks like me, but I travel often. I go to these places often. And so one of my best friends, Karmelo, was like, hey, you do this already. You help people, you set them up, you give them information. Why not get paid for it? Why not set it up and curate a space that is safe for people to travel that you have already been? So I just went ahead and started it.
Well, tell us, the importance of creating travel experiences where Black folks can feel welcome and valued and connected when we're abroad.
Absolutely. So I went and attended Yacht Week in Croatia, and it was about $4,000 roughly. And I didn't hear any hip hop. I didn't hear any R&B. And I was kind of like, and I was with 2 boats full of Black people, and we just had to kind of curate our own vibe and our own energy. And what happened was I was like, I don't think that this is the Black culture. It has as many places to go where our needs are met, right? We just always join into other things. And then outside of that, within the Black culture, you have Black queerness. And we don't even have that, let alone. So it's kind of like, okay, well, where do I feel comfortable going and doing things? Like my best friend had a birthday in Jamaica, and I wasn't very comfortable with going to Jamaica at the time. Their laws and progression on LGBTQ rights just wasn't there at the time. And so I was like, hey, this is not somewhere where I would like to go, but let me look a little bit more into it and find out some advocate places where people that are queer can go without any type of persecution. I'd love to go to Africa, but right now the best and safest place would be South Africa. So it does come when you spend your money in places, you want to be somewhere where you're safe and you're welcome. And as a Black queer person, we have to do a little bit more research when it comes to some of these places.
So you have done your research and you are planning an immersion trip in November. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you're offering?
Absolutely. So we will be leaving November 28th through December 4th. We are going to Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen. Beijing. So we're going to Beijing, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen. Beijing is the first place we'll go to the Great Wall of China, see one of the 7 wonders of the world. And then after that, we'll be going to Guangzhou. Guangzhou is where the manufacturers, the wholesalers, anyone who's trying to start a business, anyone who's trying to boost themselves, connect with any clothing, whether it be from clothing to household goods, anything like that. So just trying to build them up. And then Shenzhen is pretty much their Silicon Valley. So it's the tech place. So we'll be going from there to connect everyone with possible avenues to start a business back in the US. And a lot of times people have the connection or they'll look on these apps or these online stores that will tell them that they can connect with these people, but they're charging at a higher rate. It's easier to just go there and make the connection. After living in China for 6 years, I felt like, hey, I've done enough of this. I've made enough connections. Let me share this with my community.
And so you're really saying that this is like a luxury business trip. Can you tell us a little bit more about how your trip focuses on culture and education and really meaningful experiences?
Absolutely. So we're Americans. And so Americans like a little bit of like ease and comfort. And so having a person to transport us to and from places is a part of it. The type of transportation is a bit of the luxury aspect. So having a Sprinter van take us with water to the places that we're going, having a local translator. Although I speak fluent Mandarin, I still want someone that is there to assist with things that if we need or have questions about. This allows us to understand the Chinese culture on an off-beaten path, right? Everyone typically goes and sees the normal touristic things, but this allows us to go meet some of the locals, find out how they're living and how we can work together and build businesses together, not focus on any of the political aspects of what's happening between different countries and any of that, but focus on connection and culture. I think that is the easiest way to learn about someone else that's from a different setting than yourself. And what this trip is to have really nice. We're staying at the top hotel in Guangzhou. We're staying at a beautiful spa in Beijing. So quite a few beautiful and fun events that are happening that kind of steer more towards luxury. Not everything will be 100% top of the line, but when you go and you shop, it's kind of, you got a hit and run with Chinese. You have to bargain, you have to do these things. So there's a level of expertise that is required. So having a local Chinese person there with us is very important with a group of 10 people.
All right. Sounds like some great shopping on this trip as well. You said 10 people are going with you on the trip. Why was it important for you to keep a small group?
I just went with 23 people to China, and it was great. It was great. My friend and I, we took 23 people to Shanghai, Zhengjiajie, Chongqing, and Shenzhen. And it was a lot. Timing becomes a lot. And when you try to focus on, like I said, with luxury, we're trying to focus on making sure we hit certain points and delivering that type of experience to people. Less is best. I wanted to make sure that 10 people is enough to manage. If I'm moving through China, I can manage 10 people. Even if my local guide has, say, for instance, they get sick or something happens, I'm still able to manage that. So I like to keep it small and quaint so that we can have real live experiences, like be able to sit down and talk and kind of debrief basically what the day was. How did you feel based on that? Did you have any instances where you maybe felt targeted or you maybe felt like the culture wasn't in your favor, or whatever experiences that you have, because I've experienced them all.
Oh, that's good. Derek Glasby, can you tell us more about how viewers can connect with Black Queer Travel and register for this upcoming Chinese immersion trip?
Absolutely. So you can follow us at BLK Queer Travel on Instagram, or a Traveling Glasby on Instagram as well. There is a link in our bio to connect you to everything that you need for our Connect with China trip. Not a problem. You can send me a DM or you can contact me on my private page. Either or, both are public, and I look forward to hearing from you all.
All right, Derek Glasby, the owner of Black Queer Travel. Thank you so much for joining us at Traveling Glasby. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much. I'm about to travel now.
Well, safe travels. Thank you so much for joining us here on The Breakdown. We certainly appreciate your time. And folks, we still have more news ahead right here on The Breakdown. So stay with us. Coming up after the break, we'll speak with a former teacher who turned entrepreneur, and she is creating sweet success, one celebration at a time. we will introduce you to the founder of Beauty and the Booze. You won't want to miss her story. It's coming up next after the break. Stay with us.
With medicine and science under attack, I want to keep you and your family informed and healthy. I'm Dr. Ebony Hilton, and I knew at the age of 8 that I wanted to be a doctor. So I studied hard and became the first African-American female anesthesiologist hired at the Medical University of South Carolina since its opening in 1824. And I always say I was made into a doctor, but I was born to be a mom. And as a new mom, wife, sister, daughter, and friend, I understand how frightening a medical crisis can be. I care for individuals on some of the worst days of their lives, and it's my mission to provide you with a safe space to gain clarity on issues affecting your mind, body, and soul. I recognize that there are health disparities, particularly as it pertains to race, and I want to help bridge the gap between you and your healthcare providers. Join me every Thursday for Second Opinion on the Black Star Network, where each week I'll invite experts from various medical fields to share the latest health news. We'll discuss topics such as the vaccine debate, mental and sexual health, medical bias, infertility, menopause, andropause, nutrition, and aging. Together with my medical colleagues, we aim to provide you with a second opinion. Don't miss it, Thursdays only on the Black Star Network.
If in this country right now, you have people get up in the morning and the only thing they can think about is how many people they can hurt, and they got the power, that's the time for mourning.
For better or worse, what makes America special, it's that legal system that's supposed to protect minorities from the tyranny of the majority.
We are at a point of a moral emergency. We must raise a voice of outrage. We must raise a voice of compassion. And we must raise a voice of unity.
We are not in a crisis of party versus party. We are in a crisis of civilization, a human rights crisis, and a crisis of democracy itself. And guess what? You've been chosen to make sure that those that would destroy, those that would hate, don't have the final say, and they don't ultimately win.
I'm Risa Colbert, and you're watching the Black Star Network.
A former teacher turned her passion for the family into a thriving business. Her mobile slushy company serves everything from children's birthday parties to weddings, corporate events, and even adult celebrations. The company offers family-friendly frozen drinks for all ages while providing those beverages for adults where the events and alcohol is permitted. Tiara joins us now to discuss her business and her journey and how she's turning these celebrations into unforgettable experiences with Beauty and the Booze. Tiara, thank you for joining us today.
Hello, I can hear.
Hello, great to have you. I see that you sent me a treat of your own, a Beauty and the Booze. Can you tell me what you sent us? Can you tell me a little bit more about this drink that you sent? Can you hear me? Mic check, 1 2 1 2. Okay, give us a break. We will be right back. Stay with us.
I can't hear anything, Brittany.
With medicine and science under attack, I want to keep you and your family informed and healthy. I'm Dr. Ebony Hilton, and I knew at the age of 8 that I wanted to be a doctor. So I studied hard and became the first African-American female anesthesiologist hired at the Medical University of South Carolina since its opening in 1824. And I always say I was made into a doctor, but I was born to be a mom. And as a new mom, wife, sister, daughter, and friend, I understand how frightening a medical crisis can be. I care for individuals on some of the worst days of their lives, and it's my mission to provide you with a safe space to gain clarity on issues affecting your mind, body, and soul. I recognize that there are health disparities, particularly as it pertains to race, and I want to help bridge the gap between you and your healthcare providers. Join me every Thursday for Second Opinion on the Black Star Network, where each week I'll invite experts from various medical fields to share the latest health news. We'll discuss topics such as the vaccine debate, mental and sexual health, medical bias, infertility, menopause, andropause, nutrition, and aging. Together with my medical colleagues, we aim to provide you with a second opinion. Don't miss it, Thursdays only on the Black Star Network.
Hey y'all, welcome to The Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network and hosted by myself, Rhea Baker, and my good sis, Jamira Burley. We are just two millennial women tackling everything at the intersection of politics, gender, and pop culture.
And we don't just settle for commentary. This is about solution-driven dialogue to get us to the world as it could be and not just as it is.
Watch us on the Black Star Network, so tune in to The Other Side of Change.
Decade of love, joy, and power. Black Voters Matter is 10 years old, and we are just getting started. This is love with a purpose. This is Black joy in motion. This is unstoppable power. Across campuses, neighborhoods, and back roads, let's go. We show up not just to vote, but to be seen, to be heard, to belong. We ride together. We organize together. We remind each other that our voices matter because they always have. Black Voters Matter is about more than ballots. It's about housing and healthcare, clean water and living wages, education, reproductive freedom, and dignity. It's about turning pain into action, turning belief into movement, turning community into power. We don't wait to be invited. We bring the energy. We bring the love. We bring the people. Because when Black communities come together, we don't just survive, we thrive. This is how change happens. This is how history moves. We organize, we build, we win.
They've been trying to erase Black political power since Reconstruction. Now the Supreme Court is helping them finish the job. First came Shelby County versus Holder in 2013, the ruling that gutted the Voting Rights Act. Then came Brnovich in 2021, another ruling, another piece torn away. Now comes Calais, the case civil rights leaders warned could cripple the last major federal protection against racial vote dilution. And within days, Tennessee eliminated its only majority Black congressional district. Louisiana, South Carolina, Alabama. The same strategy is spreading across the South. The old Jim Crow used poll taxes and literacy tests. The new Jim Crow uses gerrymandered maps, voter roll purges, polling place closures, and court rulings that make Black communities politically invisible. 1965 was Freedom Summer. This is Freedom Summer 2.0, because they are still trying to erase Black political power, and we will not bow.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches. I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay Black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, welcome back. I want to introduce you to the founder of Beauty and the Booze. The company offers family-friendly frozen drinks for all ages, and they also provide adult options. She joins us now to discuss her business and her journey and how she is just turning celebrations into unforgettable experiences. Tiara, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay, wonderful. I want you to tell us how you got started with your slushy business. As I understand, you were a teacher and you were in Florida.
Yes, I was. I was visiting family in Tampa and it was really hot. So we decided to go to the park and make some slushies and sell them. And I remember one person coming up to ask, like, hey, what are these? And I was just like, they're Naptown slushies. And it just kind of rolled off my lips organically and it really stuck. So now we've come back home to Indy and we've done this since 2021. I got my bartending start working at the Madam Walker Theater Center here in Indianapolis. And when they closed for renovations, they gifted me my bar, the Madam, right behind me. And so I was just going through a rough patch in 2021. I'm like, hey, I got this bar just sitting here. How about I put it to some use? And I did that with my skills and my slushy machine I bought for myself, invested in my business with that. And so I could make more slushies than just using the little blender that I had at the time. And so now I've brought in my daughters along and my son to help me with the business. And my bar, of course, I call it Madam because it came from the Walker Theater. And we just travel all over. We've been on Indy's Find Love or Pop the Balloon show. I was the bartender on that show for some time. And now we just travel. So everything is on wheels and I can just push it around and get going.
I love how you were able to use all your talents, right? You were a bartender for part of your life. You were a teacher for a part of your life. How are you able to combine the two to create a business?
It's actually like the best of my worlds coming together because I'm currently still teaching. I just left the classroom 2 years ago, but I've been teaching for 17 years and it's my bartending and my teaching started within the same year, actually. So it's fun because I love the children. And like I said, it was tailored for children. And the adults came and they saw the word booze and they're like, hey, well, where's the booze? Where's the alcohol at? And so I had to deliver what the customers wanted. And the name really didn't come from a place of vainness. I know I'm beautiful and attractive, but it really came from a storm that I was going through and a message that I heard where the creator will take us through our beast, difficult times to create the beauty, which would be the blessings. And that just creates our greatest fruit ever. So with that being said, I was like, hey, that's a great name. Beauty and the Booze, a play on words. And I'm thinking Disney, of course, for it to be kid friendly. And then with my name, I just changed the Y in beauty to an I and just went from there.
Oh, I love that, Tiara. So tell us a little bit more about the drink that you sent me because I get to try it now.
So the drink that I sent you comes from the slushy machine there, and it's mixed with some Hennessy and some margarita. So you have a margarita Hennessy slushy there. We call those the boozy. So you have a Hennessy boozy mixed with all three flavors. You have the back.
I should ask more questions before I took a drink immediately. This is really, really good. So tell us a little bit more about the celebrations that you have been able to be a part of and how you're just able to include the entire family.
Oh, yes, certainly. So generational wealth, that's where the including the family comes from. So I didn't want it to be something just for myself, something that also my children could benefit from and carry on this business. And hopefully it becomes something larger than just moving around from place to place. Or we're looking for brick and mortar to have a stable facility for people to come in and out and enjoy those drinks. And the parties that we do have been very lively, like I said, from family reunions to weddings to 60-year-old birthday bashes, 90-year-old birthday parties, a 4-year-old birthday party I just did. And I love to connect with my clients in creating customized banners for them to display on the front of the bar, customized menus for them to be able to see the names that they use often, now being a name for the drink that their guests are purchasing. And I can go into any venue, any place in the city. I'm certified, I'm licensed, and very professional. And I think that's really what sets me apart from other mobile bartenders, especially with the slushy machine. And that I have a very clean cut bar. Everything you see behind me is what I bring for the event. So I don't need anything from my clients. I have everything that I need, all of my supplies to set up.
And so are you traveling throughout Indianapolis and maybe the Midwest too?
Yes, I am. I've been to Atlanta, Detroit, Chicago, Jersey, Wisconsin, and Florida, or also Dallas. So we have taken Beauty and the Booze on the road. It has been quite an
Okay.
experience.
Okay. Well, Tiara, if you don't mind, I mean, you do have the bar set up and now I'm drinking. So do you mind maybe showing us how you mix up one of your drinks back there, or
Sure, no
maybe
problem.
one of those Naptown slushy bags? I don't know what I see
Naptown
back there. Show
slushies,
us more.
yes. So the bar is fully loaded. It's like I said, everything is on wheels. So
Okay.
there's shelving and everything back here. I keep our cups on display.
Cute.
Uh-oh.
And what's the most popular drink that you serve?
The most popular drink would be my Madam, the Madam. It is a lavender lemon drop. And then minus that would be the slushies. Everyone loves the slushies, especially the children. So of course, when it's children involved, there's no booze. And so we call that our juniors version. So Beauty and the Booze Juniors caters to the children without the alcohol. So again, easy assembly, easy setup. Come over here to the slush. And it's not all the way slushed. I turned it down so you can hear me and I can hear you.
Oh, that makes sense. Well, you got a photographer too. Look at you. We appreciate this. Nice. I like that little treat at the top. It makes it so festive.
Yes. And so this is something really simple, really quick. I don't like to keep my customers waiting very long, especially when you're in line at the bar. And that's another thing with the children too. I like to teach them bar etiquette. And so it's not just, going out and getting a drink, but how you approach the bar, what you say, your body language, not pushing and shoving other people out of your way. And then what happens when you leave that bar with your drink, whether it's an alcoholic beverage or not, just teaching the children how to be alert of their surroundings and not being taken advantage of. So the teaching still comes into play even while I'm doing the bartending.
You said you are still a teacher at heart.
Oh, yes, for sure. Always.
Could you tell us maybe what type of events or maybe the most popular for your business? I know you mentioned family reunions. That sounds cool. But what else do you go to?
So a lot of them are parties. So a lot of them would be birthday parties or celebrations where they would need a bar because, like I tell them, what's a party without a bar? You have your potato bar, your candy bar, but now you have your slushy bar. And so a lot of park events, because my bar is on wheels, I'm able to push it along the grass, the gravel, to get to that location. And there's a trailer that I have hooked up to my truck so I can drive over the grass or whatnot just to get to that location. We are pretty popular and busy in the summertime because that's when most folks want the slushies. And then in the winter season, and maybe when it's a little cooler outside, is when we just have the alcohol beverages or the bar. There's not too many people that request the slushy machines around then. But for the most part, it's a lot of birthday parties. I want to tap into more weddings just so they can see the luxury side of Beauty and the Booze.
Okay, well, we cannot wait to see you accomplish all of your dreams. And maybe even in the winter, you can have some hot drinks too, because that would be good too.
Yes. I have made some cookie cups before, and that way I serve the hot chocolate inside of the cup, and they can even eat the cup after they drink the drink.
I already knew you had something up your sleeve. That is so fantastic. Tiara, thank you for joining us today and telling us all about your business, Beauty and the Booze. Can you tell us how we can connect with you if we want to book you for our celebration?
Certainly. You can find me on Instagram and Beauty and the Booze. That's Beauty with an I, Beauty and the Booze. And our website is almost together. We're still working on that. And our phone number is 317-914-0761.
And I know you have that Instagram page, which is what we just pulled up. Again, what is that Instagram name?
Beauty and the Booze, Beauty with an I.
All right, Beauty and the Booze. Thank you so much, Tiara, for joining us today on The Breakdown.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. All right, folks, if you want to represent the Black Star Network beyond the screen, there is an easy way to do that by shopping at shopblackstarnetwork.com. There you can find official Black Star Network swag. It's an easy way to support the network and show pride in Black-owned media wherever you go. So please support us by keeping our money circulating in our community by shopping blackstarnetwork.com. Support the network. support Black-owned businesses, and support the culture. That's going to do it for us today on The Breakdown. Thanks for spending part of your day with us, and please sure to keep the conversation going online. My name is @TheNobleJournalist. Find me, connect with me. I would love to hear your questions, your story ideas. I would love to know more about what's happening in your community so that we can share it here on The Breakdown. And don't forget, we'll be right back here tomorrow with more news, more context, and more voices that matter. Roland Martin Unfiltered is tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern here on the Black Star Network. Have a great day.